everyone, welcome back to the channel. Let's talk about something that gets a lot of attention in the health world. Cholesterol. It's a word we hear all the time, often with a negative connotation, but what does it really mean for the food we eat? Today we're breaking down 9 high cholesterol foods you should know about. We're not here to demonize any food group, but to empower you with knowledge. Understanding the science behind these foods is crucial because what you eat has a direct impact on your cardiovascular health, your energy levels, and your overall well-being. Now, before we jump in, it's important to understand that cholesterol isn't inherently bad. Your body actually needs it to build healthy cells. The issue arises when we have too much of a certain type, specifically LDL or bad cholesterol, which can build up in your arteries and lead to serious health problems like heart disease and stroke. The foods we consume can significantly influence these levels. By learning which foods are high in cholesterol and saturated fats, you can make more informed, balanced choices that support a healthy heart. It's all about education, not restriction. Our goal today is to give you the full picture. We'll look at some obvious culprits, but also some surprising foods that might be hiding in your pantry. We'll discuss why they impact your cholesterol levels and what that means for your long-term health. Think of this as a guide to help you navigate the grocery store aisles with confidence. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to your health. So let's get into it and start learning together. First up on our list is something many of us find delicious and hard to resist: fried foods. I'm talking about French fries, fried chicken, donuts, and anything else that takes a deep dive into hot oil. The problem here isn't just the food itself, but the cooking method. When foods are deep fried, especially in unhealthy oils like partially hydrogenated oils, they soak up a tremendous amount of fat. This process often creates trans fats, which are scientifically shown to be the worst type of fat for your heart. They not only raise your LDL or bad cholesterol, but they can also lower your HDL, the good cholesterol that helps clear your arteries. This double whammy effect makes fried foods a significant risk factor for developing heart disease. It's not just the immediate caloric load, it's the long-term inflammatory and plaque-building effect on your cardiovascular system. Consuming these foods regularly can lead to atherosclerosis, which is the hardening and narrowing of your arteries. So, while that crispy texture is tempting, it's crucial to be mindful of how often you're indulging. Opting for baked, grilled, or air-fried versions can give you a similar satisfaction without the same level of risk to your heart health. It's about being smart with your choices. Next, let's talk about an ingredient that's incredibly common, but often flies under the radar: palm oil. You'll find it in a staggering number of processed foods, from cookies and crackers to margarine and even some peanut butters. Its popularity in the food industry comes from its versatility and low cost. However, from a health perspective, it's a bit of a mixed bag. Palm oil is very high in saturated fat, which, when consumed in excess, is known to raise LDL cholesterol levels. While it doesn't contain trans fats like partially hydrogenated oils, its high saturated fat content is something we need to be aware of. The key here is to become a label detective. Since palm oil is in so many products, it's easy to consume a lot of it without even realizing it. When you're grocery shopping, take a moment to read the ingredients list on packaged goods. If you see palm oil, palm kernel oil, or palmitic acid listed, just be mindful of how much of that product you're eating. The concern isn't about eliminating it entirely, but about recognizing its presence and understanding its potential to contribute to higher cholesterol if your diet is heavily reliant on processed foods. Moderation and awareness are your best tools here. All right, let's tackle a food that many people love: cheese. Whether it's melted on pizza, sliced in a sandwich, or cubed on a charcuterie board, cheese is a staple in many diets. It's a great source of calcium and protein, but there's another side to the story. Cheese is a dairy product that is naturally rich in saturated fats and cholesterol. A single ounce of cheddar cheese can contain a significant portion of your recommended daily intake of saturated fat. When you consume these fats in large quantities, they can lead to an increase in your LDL cholesterol levels, which is a key risk factor for heart disease. This doesn't mean you have to break up with cheese forever. It's about portion control and making smart choices. Some cheeses are higher in fat than others. For example, hard cheeses like Parmesan and soft cheeses like goat cheese tend to be better options than creamy processed cheeses. Think of cheese as a flavorful garnish rather than the main event of your meal. Enjoying a small amount can fit into a heart-healthy diet, but piling it on day after day can have a cumulative negative effect on your cholesterol profile. It's all about finding that healthy, sustainable balance. Now let's move into the butcher's section and talk about fatty meats. When we discuss meat and cholesterol, the specific cut makes all the difference. Cuts of meat that have a lot of visible fat, like a heavily marbled ribeye steak, pork belly, or lamb chops, are packed with saturated fat and cholesterol. This fat, known as intramuscular fat, is what gives the meat its rich flavor and tender texture, but it's also what can send your cholesterol numbers in the wrong direction. When you eat these fats, your liver responds by producing more LDL cholesterol, contributing to potential arterial plaque buildup over time. The good news is that you don't have to give up meat to manage your cholesterol. The strategy is to choose leaner cuts. Look for options like sirloin, tenderloin, or flank steak. For pork, choose loin or tenderloin. And with poultry, always opt for skinless breast meat, as the skin is where a large amount of fat is stored. Another simple tip is to trim off any visible fat before you cook the meat. These small adjustments can dramatically reduce the amount of saturated fat you're consuming, allowing you to enjoy meat as part of a balanced diet without compromising your heart health. Sticking with the meat category, let's talk about processed meats. This includes things like sausages, hot dogs, bacon, deli meats, and beef jerky. These foods are popular for their convenience and flavor, but they pose a significant health concern. Not only are they often made from fatty cuts of meat, making them high in saturated fat and cholesterol, but the processing itself adds another layer of risk. To preserve them and enhance flavor, manufacturers load them up with sodium and chemical preservatives like nitrates and nitrites, which have been linked to inflammation and other health issues. The combination of high saturated fat, cholesterol, and sodium makes processed meats particularly tough on your cardiovascular system. The high sodium content can contribute to high blood pressure, another major risk factor for heart disease, creating a compound problem. Regularly eating these foods has been strongly associated in numerous studies with an increased risk of heart disease, stroke, and even certain types of cancer. When you're looking for a quick and easy protein source, consider alternatives like pre-cooked grilled chicken strips, canned tuna in water, or edamame instead of reaching for the deli counter. Let's broaden our scope to a whole category, red meats. This group generally includes beef, lamb, and pork. While we've already discussed fatty cuts, it's important to understand that even leaner cuts of red meat are typically higher in saturated fat and cholesterol compared to poultry and fish. The heme iron found in red meat, while important for preventing anemia, has also been linked in some studies to oxidative stress and inflammation when consumed in large amounts, which can impact cardiovascular health. The key concern remains the saturated fat content's effect on raising LDL cholesterol. This is why many dietary guidelines, including those from the American Heart Association, recommend limiting red meat consumption. It doesn't mean complete avoidance is necessary for everyone, but it does mean being mindful of frequency and portion size. Try incorporating meatless Mondays or substituting red meat with other protein sources a few times a week. Swapping a beef burger for a turkey or salmon burger, or using lentils in your chili instead of ground beef can make a big difference. These swaps reduce your intake of saturated fat, while often increasing your intake of heart-healthy fats and fiber. Now for the sweet stuff, starting with cakes, biscuits, pastries, and cookies. These treats are a source of joy for many, but they can be problematic for our cholesterol levels. The issue lies in the primary ingredients used to create their delicious, crumbly, or moist textures: butter and shortening. Both butter and shortening are very high in saturated fats. Shortening in particular historically contained harmful trans fats, although many formulations have changed. Still, the high saturated fat content remains a major concern for heart health, as it directly stimulates the liver to produce more LDL cholesterol. When you combine these fats with the refined sugars and white flour also found in most baked goods, you get a product that can contribute to weight gain, inflammation, and high cholesterol. It's a triple threat to your metabolic and cardiovascular health. When a craving hits, consider healthier alternatives. You could bake at home using heart-healthy oils like olive or avocado oil. Substitute some of the fat with applesauce or Greek yogurt, or simply opt for a smaller portion. Being aware of what's in your favorite dessert allows you to indulge smartly without derailing your health goals. Expanding on the last chapter, let's look at the broader category of decadent desserts. This includes things like rich ice cream, creamy cheesecakes, and flaky pastries like croissants. What do these all have in common? They are often loaded with ingredients that are high in cholesterol and saturated fat. Think heavy cream, full-fat milk, butter, and egg yolks. Each of these components, while delicious, contributes to the overall fat content that can negatively impact your blood lipid profile. Ice cream, for instance, gets its creamy texture from milk fat, which is a potent source of saturated fat. The high concentration of these ingredients means that even a moderate portion can deliver a significant amount of saturated fat. It's not just one ingredient, but the combination of several high-fat components that makes these desserts a major contributor to high cholesterol if eaten frequently. Enjoying dessert is a part of life, and it should be. The key is to practice moderation. Consider these items as occasional treats rather than daily staples. You can also explore lighter alternatives like sorbet, fruit-based desserts, or frozen yogurt, which can satisfy your sweet tooth with a much lower fat content. Finally, let's crack open the truth about one of the most debated foods in nutrition, the egg. For decades, eggs, and specifically their yolks, were villainized because they are undeniably high in dietary cholesterol. A single large egg yolk contains about 185 milligrams of cholesterol, which is more than half of the previously recommended daily limit. This led many people to avoid eggs or stick to egg whites only, fearing the impact on their heart health. It seemed like a straightforward case of high cholesterol food equals high blood cholesterol. However, the science on this has evolved significantly. More recent and comprehensive research has shown that for the majority of the population, the dietary cholesterol in foods like eggs has a surprisingly small impact on blood cholesterol levels. Our bodies are smarter than we thought. When we eat more cholesterol, the liver typically produces less of it, maintaining a balance. The bigger culprits for raising blood cholesterol, as we've discussed, are saturated and trans fats. Therefore, most healthy people can enjoy whole eggs in moderation, say 1 a day, as part of a balanced diet without a significant negative effect on their heart health. They are a fantastic source of protein and nutrients. So there you have it, a breakdown of 9 high cholesterol foods and the science behind how they affect your body. Remember, the goal of this video isn't to create a list of forbidden foods. It's to arm you with information so you can build a diet that is both enjoyable and supportive of your long-term heart health. Food is meant to be enjoyed, but it's also our body's fuel. Making informed, balanced choices is one of the most powerful things you can do for your well-being. It's about moderation, not deprivation. Every single person's body is different, and your nutritional needs are unique. What works for one person may not work for another. That's why it is absolutely essential to consult with a healthcare professional like your doctor or a registered dietitian before making any significant changes to your diet. They can provide personalized advice based on your specific health profile, blood work, and lifestyle. Please use this video as a starting point for a more informed conversation with them. Your health is a team effort, and your doctor is your most valuable player. Thank you so much for investing this time in your health education today. I hope you found this information helpful and empowering. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more health tips. And as always, stay happy and healthy.